Welcome to our Wix Partners workshop about the marketplace. We're going to be talking all about the marketplace, features and best practices. And joining us is Reinhardt and Daniela. Welcome, you two.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Before we jump into this, let's kind of, Reinhardt, if you'll tell us a little bit about what you do at Wix.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a product manager at Wix and currently the product manager of the marketplace. So pretty much spend all my days thinking about this aspect of Wix. And I've been with Wix for a little less than 2 years now.
Awesome. We're glad to have you. Daniela, will you tell us a little bit about you?
For sure, yeah. So I am one of the account manager team leads here at Wix. So really our goal is to just help support our partners and really make sure that they're being as successful as they can be on Wix and, you know, being a really good resource and advocate for them.
So thank you both for being here. And for those of you who are joining us, here's kind of what we're going to cover today. We're going to spend a little time showing the partners actually what a Wix user experience is into the marketplace. We're going to talk about building strong profiles. Then we're going to have an overview of the marketplace itself and some of the new features you may not even be aware of. And then we're going to talk about building trust with your clients. And then, of course, we're going to have a Q&A. It wouldn't be a workshop without a good Q&A. So thanks. And if you have questions, go ahead and drop them, and we'll try to get to those at the end. So Reinhardt, let's start with the Wix user journey. Can you show us kind of what a user experience is and how they find the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to do this because we get a lot of questions about it. And I don't know that we've ever taken like a comprehensive look at the other side of the marketplace. Obviously, partners see it from their side, but I'm just going to share my screen and show you kind of how this all works. So bear with me 1 second. Am I sharing my screen?
Yes, I see it. We're good to go.
Okay. So a couple important things to know about the people submitting requests in the marketplace. One really important thing is that they are all Wix users, and certainly they vary in terms of their experience with the platform, kind of where they are in the onboarding journey, but they have to have signed up for a Wix account before they can submit a request. So the typical way that a user will come in contact with the marketplace is through one of many entry points. I think we have currently more than 70 throughout the product that invite the user to hire a Wix partner. So at the very top level, what I'm showing now is just a Wix homepage. I can click hire a partner, and it's going to take me into the marketplace flow where I can create a project request. Now, this is very important. When I start this process, because I came without being signed in, the first thing I'm going to need to do is sign up for a Wix account or log in. So that goes back to what I said, you know, they're not unqualified people who've never used Wix before. To get into this in a little bit more detail, I'm just going to jump to another screen where I'm logged in. So let's go to the My Sites page. So first of all, you'll see this hire a professional link in the header here. This isn't shown to our partners, it's shown to people who can actually hire someone. And this is pretty consistent throughout, but there are also a number of other entry points. So if, for example, I drill into this site and let's say maybe I go into the SEO section, one of the things I'll see here is hire a marketing professional. And exactly like the other page I showed, this is going to drill me into the flow for submitting a marketplace brief. So these are
I like the language here though too, Reinhardt. I like how it's very clear. Hire a professional, hire a marketing pro. It's very clear from the funnel that this is a paid service.
Yes, this is something we try to hammer home as much as possible. There are no places throughout the product where a user would get invited to the marketplace without it mentioning at some point that this is hiring a partner. You know, and it's something we're always trying to improve and make more clear as much as possible in the content. So those are just a few examples of entry points into the marketplace itself. Like I said, there's over 70 of these. The majority of the people coming to the marketplace do find it this way. We also, of course, do have the ability to navigate directly to the marketplace. You know, if you search for Wix Marketplace, it'll bring you to the marketplace homepage. You can explore partners, you can submit projects through there. But we've had a lot of success with using these entry points where really we feel like there's higher intent, because if I'm a user who's already created a site and now I'm focused on SEO, I'm further down the journey and I'm more likely to take that step and hire someone. So that's sort of the discovery process. The other thing I wanted to show with the respect to the user is that once they've submitted a project, they have a dashboard where they can keep track of all of those project submissions. So if I click hire a professional here in the navigation.
Now this is something the partners probably have never seen, Reinhardt.
Yeah. Oh, okay, great. Yeah. So I'm glad to be showing it. In this case, as you can probably see, this user has submitted 2 project requests. I did them pretty recently, preparing for this webinar, as you can imagine. So 18 hours ago. Neither of them is currently assigned. What I can do from here, if I click see details, is check out the partners that I was matched with. Bear in mind, these are obviously just test accounts. They're not real partners. I'm not going to show you real partner accounts.
FFF looks a little sketchy, Reinhardt. I don't know about that person.
He's totally vetted. I personally have vetted FFF multiple times. He's well qualified. If you need an e-com site, that's the one. Yeah, so these are the partner matches. And I think it's important to note that it's not an overwhelming amount of partners that we're matching the person with. So, you know, from time to time, if you talk to a client, they might say something, you know, I've got 20, 30, 100 partners reaching out to me. You can assure them that that's not the case. We're never matching with that many. We do want to match with a few because they need to have some options from their perspective. It's good for the user to have people to pick from. Below, if I scroll down, I have all of the details of the project that I submitted. In this case, it's a website for a karate school that I'm starting. So you see all of the information here, just to remind you what you submitted. There's a few things that I can do from here. One is that I can go explore the partner profile. I'll do that in a second, but just to show you some of the actions I can take. So either from the list view or from within the project itself, I can, as the user, once I've spoken to a partner and I feel like moving forward, I can mark this as in progress. And then it's going to ask me who's working on it. Of anyone who's reached out to me and actually expressed interest, I'll see all of them here. So I can say like, all right, I'm going to have Reinhardt work on this. Now that it's in progress, as the user, you do also have the ability, sorry, one second.
Let's look at this screen. Let's hone in on this. So once a user comes through the funnel that you showed us, or maybe they went right to the marketplace website or Googled it, whatever, they get here, they submit a request for work or for a web, whatever one of the topics are there, right, or categories.
Yep.
This is what they'll see. This is their pending request, and you can see create advanced website. And if they have multiple requests, they'll show up differently, and there may be different partners matched to each one.
Correct. Yeah.
So, I just want to, because I want to make sure we see what we see, because a lot of people haven't seen this.
Yep. Another important thing to note is that once I choose a partner and move forward with working with them, like I've said, this is in progress, we're moving forward, the lead will be marked as canceled for the other partners who are matched with. So just keep that in mind. Like once the user commits to someone they're working with, we're not going to allow like other partners to continue reaching out to them, because that's, from the user side, sort of a bad experience. You have people keep following up with you when you've already agreed to move forward. A couple other things that are important to note here. I can mark this project as complete as the user. This can actually be super helpful for you as a partner, because if you've finished the project, you can encourage your client to go in and mark it as complete, just to confirm that everything's done. Once that's done, you'll get credit for the project the same way you would if you were to submit it as complete through your dashboard.
So a couple questions there real quick, if I can jump in, Reinhardt. So to be clear, when the client marks this project as complete, that counts as a partner submitting a site as being completed as well. Are they the same?
Correct, they are.
Okay. What if, and this is a great question that Stephanie just asked. What if the user does not change it to in progress? Is there something the partner can do, or do we just need to communicate with the client that they need to mark it as in progress and select me?
That's the best thing to do at this point. To communicate to the client to mark it as in progress. We are working on adding something equivalent on the partner side so that you could mark it and then there'd be like a verification progress with the client that it is in progress. But awesome. Right now, this is just on the user side.
Awesome.
Also, with respect to canceling projects, both the client and the partner have the ability to do that. And you'll see that when we move into the partner side, but it's reflected in the leads dashboard if you canceled the project or if the client did. And of course, in the case where the client did, if you haven't spoken to them, you can then reach out and get clarification.
So this is interesting because it's, again, it sort of shows the duality of the position that Wix is in, right? We have users that come into the marketplace from the funnels that you showed us, from so many 70 something entry points, right? So we want to make sure our users are taken care of and match them with our partners, which is really amazing. So we're sort of like, I like seeing this. This is really, really interesting. And we're talking about profiles here. Daniela, is there a way that a partner can really build a stronger profile when this FFF, like as an example, that's not a strong profile. What are some tips?
And
yeah,
just before Daniela takes it, I'll just mention, like, as I just did, you can always go into the profile, which is kind of the front window for the partner in the marketplace. So just as an example.
Yep, for sure. Okay, great. Thanks, Reinhardt. And yeah, of course, Brett, that's what we're going to go through now. So of course, yeah, we have all these great product features, but there's definitely some best practices in terms of setting up that profile. So I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Alrighty. Let me know when you guys can see it.
Looks good.
Yep, we can see it. Looks great.
Sounds good. All right. Yeah, this is my profile. So yeah, I'm an active fake user in the marketplace, just like Reinhardt and FFF. So all of you guys that are in the marketplace, you've always had to set up your profile. So everyone's seen this, but there's definitely some best practices. So first and foremost, what I really want to touch on are the geos. So you might not know this, but the marketplace, it's really based on, like, your performance in the marketplace is expressed, or basically gives you more leads based off how well you perform. And the performance is really your completion rate. So your goal is to really get the best quality leads into your account, or into your, being sent to you. So exactly what you want being sent to you, so you can close as many as you would like to. So what I really want to talk about here in terms of geos is, sometimes some people might be like, I want to target everybody around the world because I want to get more leads. From experience and working with partners, I find that that's actually not necessarily the best route to go. What you really want to do is find the geos that work for you. So some things to keep in mind. First of all, the market that you're in. So I'm based in the US. I know that I could probably close US clients better. I know the market here a bit more. People tend to like to work with people that are a little bit closer to them in terms of location because they trust that they know the market. Of course, you also, I mean, you can always set your languages down here as well, so that's a big factor. But in addition to this, it's also like time zone. So like we're going to talk about best practices in general, but just getting back to people quicker and being on that same time zone to work with somebody. You know, it might be a little difficult working with somebody that's based in Australia if you're in the US, just because, you know, the time zones are so off and it might be hard to really, first of all, close the lead and then ultimately, you know, work on the project. So I really like to focus on that when it comes to geo. So really just selecting those geos that really can work well for your time zone, your market. Again, so I'm mentioning the US because I'm here, but you also might want to explore other countries in the area. So like Canada might be a really good option for me as well. You might find a bit of a niche there for yourself too. So that's a good option because they're in the same time zone. The markets are pretty similar and it could be a really good target. So that's something to really keep in mind when it comes to geos. The next part of the profile that I want to touch on is the projects portion. So here, as you all know, you can add your sites in here that you've completed. You can add up to 20 of these projects. So this is really your portfolio, right? So you really want to make sure that it's being broadcasted. You want to make sure that you're really showing yourself to the best of your ability and really expressing who you are, right? So for example, this site here, right, that I have, there is no design on it. It's pretty simplistic, right? So obviously this isn't a very well-designed site, but maybe this is a site that has some sort of like password or something in the front, right? And then when you get in, it's this really cool site and it looks awesome. So what Wix automatically does is it shows the little thumbnail is going to be what the initial homepage of the site is. But you could change that. So in this situation, what I might want to do is go in and make it a better part of the site that's a little bit more eye-catching. So how to do that, you would just go into this edit button here, and you would just edit the thumbnail down here. So you'd be able to change the thumbnail to whatever you'd want it to be to really broadcast that website and really try to sell that client a bit more, because you can have a ton of websites in here and they might not select every single one. So you really want that thumbnail to be strong.
You want your eye candy, right?
Exactly.
This is probably something that FFF is not doing.
Right, exactly. I would imagine so too. I mean, Reinhardt could probably tell us more, but I would imagine FFF is not doing that.
They're not. I mean, their talented work speaks for themselves. They don't get to...
Understood. I hope they're on this call. You know, learning.
Reinhardt, let me ask you. Let me toss a quick question at you. And Daniela, it's sort of what you were talking about when you were saying maximize your location. In what way? And Bakir asks a good question. Does it affect your leads? And Reinhardt or Daniela, either one of you want to take that? I think it's relevant to the.
Well, a couple of things with that. I mean, the marketplace is open worldwide, so leads are coming from everywhere. We don't, as Wix, don't necessarily have like complete control over the geos and countries and things where they come from, but I think the best practice here is to pick locations for your leads that you know you can actually service, because you're better off maybe getting a few less leads, but ones that you can actually handle, like people who, you know, are in a reasonable time zone for you, who you're fluent in the language, than you are just opening it up broadly. Because like, yeah, maybe I'd get a bunch of leads from, I don't know, like Morocco or Turkey or something, but if I can't communicate with those people because I'm in the US and it's more challenging, then it doesn't do me any good because I'm not going to complete those projects. In short, completing the projects is more important than getting a huge volume of leads.
Right. And obviously, if you specify your location and exclude countries or only say certain countries, it's going to change the flow, right? So that makes perfect sense, Reinhardt. I think that's a great question.
I do think it's worth for all partners to experiment a bit with this, not only with location, but with respect to services they're offering.
That's what we were going to jump over to as well. So of course, Reinhardt, finished what you're going to say, but we're going to touch on that too in a second as well.
Cool.
Okay, cool. So just something to touch on, just I guess kind of to piggyback off of Reinhardt in regards to the locations, it's really quality of leads over quantity of leads should really be your goal. So again, we've really stressed that in regards to geos, but services is a huge aspect of that as well. So in the services, there are so many services that you guys can offer. I'm sure you guys have all seen this. So there are so many you can offer, right? And again, it's similar to the location standpoint where you might be inclined to select every single one because you want to get as many leads as possible and hope for the best, right? Again, completing projects is the main goal. So if I have zero interest in creating online stores, maybe I don't even know how to do it, or maybe I just don't want to do it, I should definitely not select this because I'm going to get leads for it, right? And ultimately those leads aren't going to convert, and that will just like not help me in the marketplace and not help with my completion rate. So only select the services that really matter to you. So, you know, maybe you just want to do some web design and you could throw in a few other ones in there. Going back to what Reinhardt mentioned too, in regards to experimenting, you might want to experiment with this a bit. I'm going to show you actually one little part over here. If you go into your overview, you can see, so you can kind of look at all the services that you've offered, right? And you can see how many leads that you've gotten for each of those services. So it's a great way for you to be able to see where you're performing well and where maybe you might not be performing so well and you might not want to offer that service anymore. So again, I'm not the profile, the model profile because I haven't completed any projects, but you can see here. So for example, I have 7 classic website project leads, right? Let's pretend that that was 70 classic project leads. If I haven't completed any of those, I'm going to think to myself, you know what, this is ultimately just not helping my completion rate. So I think I should probably not offer that service anymore. But on the flip side, maybe for, I don't know, my great website, I have 80 project leads and I've completed, you know, 4 of those projects. That's something that I should really definitely keep offering. So again, quality over quantity and really focusing on that aspect of it. Yeah. All right, I'm going to jump back over to profile settings. And I just want to touch on one more thing that's something really interesting you might want to look into. So here we have these small tasks, talking about services and kind of finding your niche. Again, we have more broad tasks throughout the rest of the service offering, but these small tasks are, you can see them, you know, they're very simple. One of these things you could probably do in less than an hour for a lot of these pretty straightforward projects. For example, logo design, or actually logo design's not in the small task thing, but it's another one that's a really good like smaller task project that's not really building a brand new website, but it's kind of getting you engaged with that client. So the reason I want to just stress these is they might not be the most exciting things at first. Like you might be like, okay, a domain setup, how long is that going to take me? How much money is that actually going to make me? Yeah, maybe that exact project, that exact work isn't going to be the money maker for you, but I can tell you that I've worked with many partners that really offer these services and they turn into long-lasting relationships with the client. So the client comes back to them for much larger projects, maybe a brand new site even, just based off of that small little domain setup that they initially needed. So it's definitely oh, sorry, go ahead, Brett.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we actually had a private AMA with our CMO, Omer Shah, with the partners. And one of the things one of the partners asked, what is something that you would recommend to a partner today to do? And one of the things he recommended was focus on this small task of branding and logo design, because that's the conception of a business, right? I need a logo. Where do I go with that? And it's a great place to start that relationship. And it's really funny you should mention that. So
yeah,
I would add, like, a lot of times with the smaller projects, the response from the partner might be like, well, it's a low budget, so it's not worth my time. But I would say, like, rather than think of it as this is a low budget project, think of it as like you're getting paid to do business development. Like you're creating a relationship with someone and you're getting paid something, and probably they'll come back to you for more down the line. Like, which is a much better position than just reaching out to people blind. Like you're at least doing something for them.
It's a great start. And Eileen and Juliet are saying they've both gotten small tasks from this, and it's turned into a lot more work and much larger clients.
Right. And you can also, it also can help your reviews too in the marketplace, right? So even if, you know, not every single client is going to turn into that long lasting relationship. Of course, we hope so, but that's not going to be the case for everybody. We're realistic, but it can give you a great review on your profile. So might as well keep getting those 5 stars. So that's another big benefit of it as well. So these are really the best practices that I would, that I would really suggest. Again, just thinking of that quality over quantity and really trying to find your niche in the market, in the marketplace that works best for you, where you can start completing those projects. That's really what you need to focus on. I'm going to pass it over to Reinhardt, where he can really talk more about like the next step, which is managing the leads.
Cool. Yeah. Bear with me one sec. I'm going to share screen again.
So for those of you who are joining us, we're now about to start talking about the overview of the Wix Marketplace and new features. Thanks. I see it perfectly, Reinhardt.
Great. Sorry, my dog is acting up a little bit. These are the joys of working from home. This is fun though. I got to like put on a shirt with buttons today, which I hadn't done in a while.
Look great, man. Look great.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Brett. All right. So yeah, from having a amazing profile, the next point is, what do you do with these leads that are coming in? So I'm logged into my partner account in Wix. I'm in the partner dashboard. I go into the marketplace section. We have, of course, the overview that Danielle was just showing. And now to actually manage the leads, I have like a quick link here from the overview to look at my new leads. I also have 2 dashboards here, leads and projects, and I'll talk about the difference between those. But to start off, let's just go look at the leads. And you have 3 different types of leads in this list: unread, read, and expired. Expired, pretty obvious, but basically that means you didn't get back to them within the 1 business day allotted. Now, each lead within the list is going to have a countdown telling you when it will expire. I mentioned 1 business day. This is a great example. You'll see that this is actually over 24 hours. I've got 32 hours. That's because we always give you 1 full business day plus sort of whatever was left over from the day you received it. So it's like 1 business day and change, basically, you have to respond. If that's clear, good.
Yes.
The countdown, once it gets under 6 hours, you'll see the icon in orange, and then once it gets under 1 hour and when it's expired, it's in red. So this is just designed to help you understand the urgency of replying. I am obviously in very bad shape because I have 104 expired leads. That is not good. I can filter these leads. So if I just want to look at unread, for example, I can do that. We also, and these should be features that are pretty exciting to a lot of you who've been in the marketplace for a while, but we also added the ability to search. So if I want to search, for example, by name, I can find
Jesse
this lead.
just asked that.
Great.
That was just asked. So for those who don't know, this is a new feature. Is this completely rolled out, or is it still in the process of rolling out?
Still in the process of rolling out.
Coming soon.
Yeah, we've gone live with a certain percentage of users and just kind of ironing out the kinks, making sure everything is fully functional, and then we're going to roll it out to the rest.
Everybody is super excited about that search bar.
Cool. And also just, this is the case with like all Wix products, but we always have a tiered plan in terms of rolling out in different languages. Typically we'll release everything in English first, and then we'll start adding additional languages. We can certainly question the Anglocentric view that we're taking with that, but that's just kind of how it's done right now. So for everybody who's not using Wix in English, I just want to give you a heads up. It might be, a little longer down the line, but we take the localization process very seriously. So it's not just a simple translation. We want to make sure that the whole product makes sense in that language for the users who are reading it there. Just as a side note, something like the call to actions to hire a partner, we spend a lot of time making sure that in other languages those are clear as well, because we don't want people thinking that this is free. Yeah, anyway, so I searched for this lead. It's going to expire in 8 hours. So I think I'll go ahead and answer it. The way that I respond, so I have all the details for the lead, as you can expect, the name of the client, the company, the project, what they're looking for their hunting club in Saskatchewan. And if I say, yes, tell me more, that's me opting into this lead. And once I do that, it's actually going to become an active project. So now you'll see this is available in the projects dashboard. And from here, I've reached out to the potential client. I'm waiting for them to get back to me. And you have really like the same kind of functionality in the leads dashboard and the projects dashboard. You have all these filters by different statuses. Just to briefly touch on all these statuses, obviously the first one is just showing you all projects. Contacted means you opted in, got the email address, and we're assuming that you reached out to them. Because that takes place outside of this dashboard, right now we don't have an actual record of it, but that's what we're considering contacted. In progress, again, is if the client marks it as in progress. Submitted, either you or the client can mark it as complete, and then the two canceled options, either by the client or by you. So you can filter by any of those statuses. You can also sort the list alphabetically by any of the items in the table. And again, you can search. Currently, we support search by location, name, and the service type. And we'll be rolling out other options to search by gradually over time as well. Another thing that's really important, after you submit a project, if it has not been reviewed yet, you'll get an indication that this project is waiting for a review. And that's just a good reference so that you could follow up with the client and say like, hey, we'd really appreciate getting a review. It helps us out in the marketplace. So just kind of helpful indication for you. And what's really nice about the filtering is I can just look at my submitted projects and now I know like, oh, okay, these 4 are waiting for a review. Let me follow up with those people.
So this, there's a lot of questions here, and I'm going to try to circle back towards the end. There's some really good questions. Sure. Keep them coming. So Reinhard, when is there anything else you want to show us in this project board?
I guess the only. Sorry, go ahead. I feel like you're trying to lead me somewhere, and I'm too dumb to find out.
No. So the question is, right? When a partner is responding to these leads and having this conversation with the client, how can, with an intro, and maybe Daniela, this is something you can jump in on. How can a partner build trust with a client through just emails, right, or just through contact? What are some ways and some tips that that you can pass to our partners?
Yeah, I can take that, Reinhardt, since that's a little bit more less product focused, if that works for you. All right, sounds good. Sounds like a plan. So this is actually just going to be more conversational. I'll share my screen for a couple examples, but in reality, I mean, all I really want to talk about is just, as you said, like, these best practices. We have this great product now. You can manage your leads really well. Now it's really just, how do you get these people to answer you? So first and foremost, be available. It sounds so straightforward, but in all honesty, it's a little bit of it's a competitive space to a certain degree, right? As Reinhard mentioned before, there's six people can be sent a lead. So you have 5 other people that you could potentially be, or that are probably fighting for this lead just as much as you are. So, be responsive, get back to people as soon as you can. You have that one business day, but there's a lot of partners that are getting to somebody much faster than just one business day. So really just try to get back to them as quick as you can. I'm assuming, most of us are on the computers all day long, working, building websites, whatever everybody's doing. When a lead comes in, when you get an email, jump right to it. Get that email address and shoot them an email. If you have a phone number, if that's added, definitely call them. Things like that. Just be really, really on top of it. That's, I would say, a huge, huge portion of just getting these leads to respond to you. I can't stress that enough. And then really secondly, in regards to just once you get the lead and they actually start answering you, start submitting those projects, because as I mentioned before, and Reinhardt's touched on it as well, that completion rate is so important. So make sure that when you do complete a project, you're actually completing it in the marketplace. So we have this tool where you could do all that. So just can't stress that enough.
Those are points that I hear a lot brought up specifically from the partner team and your team as well, Daniela. We've said this before, and it's kind of the same message, but it's really important. Like this is what's really important.
Yep, completely. I can't stress it enough. And I find that the partners that are really on top of their leads the most are the ones that are getting, really having the most success, sending those follow-ups. Really, this is going to be work. You're not just going to send an email 12 hours after getting a lead, one email, and that's not going to be as successful as those people that are just really on top of it, trying to get people to get back to them. And then also talking about that trust that you were talking about. So
right.
A huge portion of that is how are you communicating with them, right? So what's that introduction? What's that initial email looking like? So this is where I wanted to share my screen really quickly. There we go. Alrighty. So you guys see it all right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So on each of your leads, you can go into the details portion here, and you can see this template that Wix actually provides. So if I just look at it here, you can go through this. You can see what they suggest. So I'm not going to tell you to use this. It's very, very good substance in there, but there's also, again, as I said, there's 5 other people that could be getting this lead, so you don't want to copy it like verbatim, but you definitely can kind of base off of this topic. So kind of like introduce yourself, tell them a bit about your agency, be specific. Say like, hey, I saw your, SEO request or whatever the request might have been. Include that, right? If you can even add like a little pleasantry in front. So as you mentioned, that trust building portion, this isn't like, that's not in this email right now. But what I would suggest is, if I'm in New York City and I get a lead from New York City, I could be like, hey, I see you're in New York City, we're neighbors, or just kind of throw into something there where you feel like you're actually giving some sort of like personal touch to these clients that would really help them just kind of feel a little more attached and connected to you. So the other thing that I also would suggest adding in here is a booking link. So at the end of this call, obviously you could put in your profile portfolio, so you have that profile in there. And then what you can also do is you could add, as I said, a booking link. So Wix Bookings is a great tool for this. So you could just create a booking calendar. People can book a call. This is an unbelievable way to give them some sort of call to action. So, instead of them having to email you back and say, hi, does this time work? And then you say, you'll probably say yes, but let's say it doesn't. Then you have to keep going back and forth. Have that booking link. It'll link up with your calendar. It'll link up with theirs. It'll be perfect. They'll be good to go, and you'll get people to start booking calls with you. So I don't need to share this anymore. I just wanted to show you guys where to get this. So basically the gist in terms of this email, the gist is there, but add your touch to it, right? Make it your own. In the subject line, make it a bit your own. Don't copy it word for word, because you want to stand out. You want to be a bit different.
Daniela, Bakir's actually doing exactly what you recommend, putting a booking link in that first introductory email, and he says it's working awesome.
Good. I'm really happy to hear that. Yeah, I've heard great success from clients about it. I just think, again, it's letting somebody, it's so much easier just booking a call, right? Instead of having to go back and forth. I always play the back and forth game, and it's not an ideal game to play. It's not always fun, but yeah, can't stress it enough. So I'm happy to hear, he's having good success with it. So lastly, what do you do? Like, when is it time to let go of the lead? So hopefully, you can start building trust and we get more and more leads, but we're all realistic. We can't close every lead that comes in. That's just not going to happen. So really, when is a good time to let go of that lead? So we talked about that initial email. I mentioned a little bit before about those follow-ups, but I'll talk about those a little bit more in depth right now. So it's really important to follow up. It should not be something where you email the client once, don't hear back from them in 24 hours, and then put them, cancel the lead. Don't do that. You want to really, really email these leads and, be on top of them. Like if you get an email, or if you email them, you get the lead today, right? I email them today. I don't hear back. I'm going to email them again tomorrow. I'm going to probably send another 4 or so emails after that initial email to really just let them know, like, hey, I'm here. I want to make sure that you're getting the support you need. And, on that like fifth email you send out, you can say, hey, I don't want to bug you anymore, but if you need anything at all, feel free to reach out to me. I'm here for you, but I'm not going to follow up anymore because I don't want to, of course, overload your inbox. But so just kind of give them that respect. But I think you could give them a solid 5 emails to just really make sure that they don't want to work with you anymore. People are busy, so you might have to put you a little bit on the top of their mind a little more. So just keep that in mind. So I would say definitely send those follow-ups. A good rule of thumb I suggest is typically 5 emails. I think is a good number. It's a solid number. And then at that point, if you don't hear from them, you could cancel the lead. The good thing is, if you cancel the lead, you could also always bring it back. So if the lead comes back to you in 2 months or something, you can always go back to it in 2 months, and just be like, hey, and then reopen it back up. So even though you're canceling it, you're not doing it forever. You can always bring it back. So don't worry about that.
When you say 5 emails, how much, Mike asked a good question here, 5 emails over what period of time?
Good question. And I think I'm going to give you my suggestion, but in all honesty, I've seen a bunch of different reactions to this in terms of how clients behave. I suggest doing a lot of like A/B testing on your end. So my rule of thumb is I'll say, obviously do that initial email, then you can do an email the next day. And then I would say every other day from there until you hit like that 5th one.
And just so everyone knows, when Daniela says client, she's talking about partners because you are her client.
Yes, sorry.
No, I just want to make that clear. When you say
yes.
your client, she works for y'all, right? So,
yep.
Or that's what account managers do. Okay, Reinhard,
Exactly.
you were going to say something. Sorry about that.
Yeah, what Danielle was going over with canceling leads and stuff just reminded me of a lot of questions that we get that are kind of in this realm of the marketplace ranking or how I'm performing and things like that. A couple important points on that front. One, there's no direct impact to your ranking from canceling leads. Like, we understand that not all clients are responsive. We understand that not all leads are a great fit for you. You can cancel them as much as you want. And you can reopen them, as Danielle said. However, at the end of the day, like, the main thing that we're looking at is that you're actually completing projects. So there is this indirect impact that if I cancel all my leads, I'm not going to be able to complete any projects. But just the act of canceling one in and of itself doesn't hurt you. And we think it's better for you. I mean, if a client's not responsive, don't keep following up with them. Like, get some finality behind it. It's been a long time. Fine, mark it as canceled.
And it's also, just to dovetail on that, Reinhard, it's also important to know that when you talk about the indirect metric or the indirect effect there, it's, when we crunch numbers on the back end of Wix, we're really focused on what's happening within a geo, within certain services. So it's if it's happening to a lot of people, it's easy to see, and there's kind of an unknown floating number there, right? So I don't know if I helped there or not, but I think I did.
No, I know what you mean. And
FFF.
The other thing I was going to say is, like, I've seen partners express, I guess, what I would call like concern over like how they're ranking within the marketplace. And I think it's important to know that there's not like a arbitrary standard of performance that Wix has set that like you have to adhere to. We're not like, you have to have a 20% completion rate. The way that we're doing it is we're measuring everyone in the marketplace against one another. So the highest ranking person is going to be the person who completes the most projects. The lowest ranking person is the one who completes the least projects, is the simplified way to look at it. We don't hold you to some standard that doesn't exist within this ecosystem.
That makes a lot of sense.
And also,
go ahead,
sorry, Brett, one real quick thing that I just wanted to mention, as Reinhard was saying before about canceling leads, just kind of going back to that a little bit, and the completion rate, like, first of all, if you're setting up your profile properly, you shouldn't be canceling a ton of leads, right? But it's kind of nice for you to be able to clean out your inbox or, your list of leads to make it a little bit easier for you to digest. With that said, always go back to that overview tab in your profile, and that will give you a very good understanding of where you are and your completion rate and how many leads you can actually see how many leads you've gotten. and it's just a really clear view. So the overview section is something that you should definitely take a look at. I would say, I don't know, at least once a week, if not more, just so you could see really where you're standing, and it gives you like a perspective of how things are going.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. So is there anything else we want to touch on? Are we ready to rapid fire some Q&A?
I'm ready for Q&A.
There's a lot. And I'm going to rapid fire. Now, some of these questions we've taken notes. Some of them were answered. So if they were answered, I'm going to tell you they were answered. So I'm gonna start really quick. Here's a good question. Adam asks, can hire a marketing pro call to action be hidden from his current accounts?
Hidden from his current accounts.
So for example, if he has an account with a site that's in it and it's a client site, when they interact with their site, is there a way to hide the hire marketing pro? I see this a lot in the community. I know the answer, but I'm gonna see if y'all do.
Yeah, I mean, currently the answer is no. The thinking behind that is that person that you're working with, they might want to hire somebody to do a service that you don't offer. So we don't want to restrict their ability to work with other partners. It's something we've considered from time to time. As of now, there's not a definite plan to remove that.
And also, I do know custom branding hides any Wix banners or anything that Wix does. It's completely hidden for your accounts. So if you do have sites in your accounts and you turn on custom branding, that's definitely possible. And I also know that sites that partners are contributors on, I know that they're in the works. There's a huge effort to sort of hide a lot of stuff that's hidden to non-associated accounts. So I do know that's happening too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna rapid fire. Bakir, you asked how many partners you get matched with when it's a generic submission. Reinhardt answered that, and I think Daniela did also at 6.
It's up to 6. It can
Up
be
to 6.
Yeah, up to 6.
Yeah. Depending on the specifics of the project, maybe there's only 4 available that can do that work, but yeah, up to 6.
Copy. Jesse asks, is the marketplace a little different in French and English? And the answer is some features are released, Reinhardt said, some features are released first in English and then rolled out. So Reinhardt, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically how it works, not just with marketplace functionality, but with everything in Wix.
Exactly.
And it's really like a quality control thing for us. We want to make sure it's working in one language and then roll it out into others. And frankly, it's effort to translate everything into other languages in a way that is clear.
Perfect. Milagros asked a really good question about getting responses from first contact. And Daniela, I think you gave some great points there. Milagros, if you still have questions, there are thousands of partners that do this daily, and it's a great conversation in the community. I encourage you to start that up. There's a lot of great questions. Everybody's super engaged with this. So, okay, let me see. Let's jump down here. Eileen, is this a feature request? Reinhardt, is there going to be batch delete or batch archive within your leads dashboard?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say for certain yes or no, but I'm very aware that this is a useful feature. So it's on my radar for sure.
There were a lot of other questions asked that some people have responded to, and I know are answered. So I'm going to try to get to the ones. Jonathan asks a really interesting question. Does Corvid certification give you an edge in the marketplace?
The short answer is yes. This is like a very new program that we've recently started rolling out. But yeah, if you're able to pass the Corvid certification that we're offering, it will increase your standing in terms of those Corvid leads in the marketplace. But it's very early in the process, so it's just rolling out, like I said.
And something else to note, if everybody wants to go back and we remember the AMA we had with Wix's CMO, of the 3 things he recommended all partners do, one of them was to dive in to coding with Corvid, right? So anyway, I'm just going to bring that back up. Jerry has an interesting question. Jerry, I'm going to ask yours. he has a co-owner on his account who doesn't have access to see the marketplace leads. What's a way to make that happen?
Just keep bringing it up to me as much as possible. I'm gonna fix it.
Currently what I tell my clients, and it's not an ideal situation, but some of them have like shared email address, like it's a company-wide email address or something along those lines, so everybody gets that email when the lead comes in. But yeah, Reinhardt's the guy that we have to bug for it.
No, that's something I'm like hyper aware of, and we're pushing to
For sure.
sort out. The whole, the Teams functionality is relatively new, so it's getting updated all the time, and part of that will be better support for the marketplace.
What's really good about these workshops, and when we in the community, we're aware, and it's good, even though we don't have an answer right here, but it's good to know that we know and we hear you, and let's do it, right? So thank you for that. Here's a good question. Matt has a great question. He works with a lot of larger organization, and it takes a lot of feedback rounds, and it can take up to 3 months to complete one of these large scale websites, and sometimes even longer, he says. Does this impact his completion rating?
It's an interesting question. Like, the short answer is no. I mean, in general, you want to be completing projects. If the only ones you're completing are taking many months, it could have an impact because it seems like you're not completing any. But as long as you're doing other work and getting things done, you should be in good shape. And I think that again goes back to the point I made earlier about, like, you're really being rated against your peers in the marketplace, not held to some like randomly defined standard that we set. And I think a lot of partners are in that same boat with respect to how they're working, so it should be okay.
Another quick question. That's actually really interesting. Thank you for that. I meant to say thank you. This is just a feature request I'm going to throw at you. Is it possible to add drop shipping and service and rates under online store? That's a feature request. I'm just going to throw that out.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. Usually when we're considering what services to add, we like analyze the demand from a number of ways, like across the Wix platform, just to see if users are getting stuck with that, and then we'll roll out additional services. We also periodically get requests from other teams to add other services to the marketplace, other teams at Wix. Like, for example, the accessibility team approached us to add that as a service. So yeah, I mean, the short answer is certainly possible, but we'll have to look into it more and see what the need is there. I'd imagine it's pretty.
On the sales side of things too, though, like from what I've seen too, a lot of people don't really understand. A lot of people that are requesting projects don't necessarily understand exactly what they need. So they might say like, oh, I need an e-com site. They probably don't even know what drop shipping is. And again, there must be like a specific situation as to why this specific feature is being asked. But as an agency, that's, you can totally take that e-com site that they're looking for and tell them, hey, you need drop shipping. That's the value that you can provide them that really helps close that deal.
Yeah.
100%. Great.
I actually, there was a question I saw before that I wanted to address, which was somebody said something like, I know people are submitting projects, but they're not getting to me, even though like I'm familiar with that person who's submitting the project. We talked a lot about the partner matching flow. There is a flow to get a project directly submitted to you. So if somebody goes to your profile in the marketplace and clicks get a quote from there, that's going to be a direct lead sent to you that's not matched to 6 partners. So
I'm thumbing and trying to find this. That was actually posted today, and Anthony is actually in this webinar. I saw him talking earlier. It's matched. It's slightly different, and I'll read you the verbiage. XX checked out your profile and would like to work with you. That's a direct link. That's a direct contact. And the other one is, we matched you and a few other Wix partners who could be a good fit. That's the quick match. Okay.
Right.
One's direct, which means they said, I like FFF. I'm going to be crazy and go with this guy. Okay. Versus a broad submission. And Anthony actually posted that today. I saw that. I'm going to take a couple more and then I'm going to grab two more. Here's an interesting question. I say this a lot, and Danielle, maybe you can, and Reinhardt, either one. Bakir asks, why can we not make phone numbers mandatory when people submit briefs or submit requests?
So Reinhardt might know. Do you know the answer, Reinhardt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a product.
We've tested this a couple of times. The very short explanation is that when we make phone number required, the volume of submitted projects goes down significantly. So requiring somebody to include, that level of contact information kind of disincentivizes them from completing the form. I do understand the other side of that, which is, generally you would think a submitted project with the phone number could have higher intent and you might have a better chance of closing it. But what we saw from testing this, it was too significant a drop for us to feel comfortable with it. The other side of it is like, there isn't really anything clear we can do to prevent them from putting a fake phone number. So even if it's required, they could just put whatever they want and it doesn't help you any more than getting no phone number.
555 FFF. Okay, I'm gonna throw one more question at you, Reinhardt. Product question. Is it possible to change the destination email where alerts are sent when they are matched, when partners are matched in the marketplace?
The email that we send all that to is whatever email you have tied to your Wix account. I believe I'm not so far into the settings product, but I believe you can change it there, which would do it. There also will be more flexibility with that as we roll out additional Teams features. So people should be on the lookout for that.
And I think that'll answer another question when you're talking about Teams features. I know a lot of that's coming in. There's probably a couple questions that will be affected with that feature. So I have to say, first, sort of to summarize kind of what we went over here, Reinhardt walked us through how Wix users go into the marketplace. That was really interesting. And if you came late, after we get done, you can go back and watch that. It's really cool. We talked about building strong profiles, a slight overview of the marketplace and some of the new features, how to build trust with your clients and in that first initiation. We had a great Q&A. I want to thank Reinhardt and Daniela. Thank you so much for being here. Thank both of you.
Thank you.
And
of course,
thanks
for having
partners.
us.
Absolutely. Thanks, partners, for coming. And let's continue this conversation in the community. So Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Be safe.